The Euphrates River, which used to be a sign of life and plenty, is about to dry up, which is a frightening thought. This ancient pulse has been flowing since the beginning of time. Now, as predictions come true and surprising finds are made, it whispers of hidden secrets and makes people afraid of the end of the world. There is one big question that everyone wants to know. What dark secrets are hidden below the surface? This study will look into the Euphrates River's historical importance, the reasons for its worrisome fall, and the religious and science views on this very important event. As a major water source in Western Asia, the Euphrates River, which is 1,740 miles long, is very important. Its trip takes it through Syria, Turkey, and Iraq, meeting the needs of about 60 million people who live nearby. The valley of this beautiful river goes all the way into Iran, making it the longest river system in Western Asia. In Iraq, the Tigris is another important river. It flows north of a busy city and is linked to the Euphrates by a complex network of rivers that effectively water the land. This complex drainage system, which dates back thousands of years, made it possible for farmers to grow a lot of crops, which in turn helped Babylon and other old societies become so rich and successful. Historically, the rich land around these two rivers has been known as part of the Fertile Crescent, a place in the world that has been perfect for starting settled farming communities. These changes led to the start of some of the world's first urban societies, such as Mesopotamia's greatness. Around 3,770 years ago, this is where King Hammurabi set up one of the first law systems in the world. He also built huge walls and beautiful buildings, and he successfully united all of Mesopotamia, which is why the area is sometimes called the land between the rivers. The Jewish people were taken captive by Nebuchadnezzar II, who was a very powerful master of the city. He took over Jerusalem in 597 BC. He is also famous for building the Hanging Gardens, which are a set of platforms with different levels and lots of water. They were thought to be one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. When Babylon was at its best, this part of the river was a great example of how to handle water in a very advanced way. An American ambassador and archaeologist named Edgar J. Banks wrote about the glory of Babylon in 1913. He saw that both the Euphrates and Tigris rivers were connected by large tunnels. A lot of other ditches crossed the valley and connected the two main streams. Banks stressed that water supplies were spread out so that they could be used in almost every part of the country. Additionally, these ditches were not only sources of water, but also important corridors for moving crops. People lived peacefully with the Euphrates in the past, when there was plenty and wealth. On the other hand, things have changed in a way that is very disappointing. The Euphrates no longer has enough water for even a boat to travel. The loss of the main water source has had a terrible effect on the towns that rely on it. People in Western Asia rely on the Euphrates River for many things, like drinking water, irrigation, electrical power, and farming, according to the inventory of shared water resources in Western Asia. The dangerously low level of water in the river puts the lives of regular busy people in great danger. In 2006, a terrible drought hit the Euphrates Valley in Syria, forcing farmers to leave their farms and move to cities. Many experts say that this large-scale movement gave people more reasons to be against Bashar al-Assad and helped start the civil war that killed nearly 500,000 people. It is clear that the Euphrates' decreasing flow has terrible effects on both people's lives and the region's politics. What is making the Euphrates River dry up then? Some people think this is because of natural processes and climate change, while others think it might have something to do with Bible predictions. There are many times in the Bible when the Euphrates River is described both as a place and as a sign of God's power over nature. The river has a complicated part in the Bible. It is linked to the history and geography of the old cities it went through, and it is also mentioned in prophecies that talk about what will happen in the future. In Genesis 2:14, the Euphrates is named as one of the 4 rivers that came from the Garden of Eden. This suggests that it has something to do with growth and plenty. In Jeremiah 46:10, the prophet Jeremiah looks ahead and says that Babylon will be destroyed and that the Lord will be furious. The Euphrates River is said to dry up, and a sword is shown eating until it is full, which is a metaphor for heavenly punishment. This promise talks about a sacrifice that God will make in the northern land near the Euphrates River. Continuing from Jeremiah 50, 38-39, the Euphrates is shown to dry up in the future because of God's punishment for sin. God says that the area's waters will dry up, stressing that the area is linked to gods that will be scared to death. The lines describe a harsh future in which the area will not be settled or lived in by anyone for many years to come. There is a specific reference to the Euphrates drying up in the book of Revelation. This prophecy has gotten a lot of attention because it is directly related to predictions about the end of the world. According to Revelation 16, what is described happens after a long time of trouble. It's not a judgment on Earth's environment, but it is a very important step toward the final battle of Armageddon. An army of strong warriors led by the kings of the East will stand against the Lord in Israel in this important battle. People think that this event will be a big part of the end times prophecies. Bible experts have come up with different spiritual readings of parts of the Bible that talk about the Euphrates River drying up. Some see it as a symbol of the decline and final fall of the Babylonian Empire, which was once very powerful and had a lot of impact in the old world, but lost it all in the end. Others see it as a sign of the end times, the time before Jesus comes back to judge and separate the good from the bad. From this point of view, the Euphrates drying up could mean that evil forces are coming into the world, which could be connected to the Antichrist getting ready to attack Israel with armies. It's still not clear when these events happened, and these readings give us different ideas about what the Euphrates fall means spiritually. It's not just the Bible that says the Euphrates will dry up. Islam also says this. In Islamic custom, there is a hadith that says a pile of gold will be found under the Euphrates River before the end of the world. A lot of people will die in fights over this wealth, according to this scripture. This is one of the small signs that Judgment Day is coming soon. A Twitter user shared a picture of ancient ruins in April 2023 in relation to the finding of a gold mountain under the Euphrates River. The description quoted the Prophet Muhammad as saying that the Euphrates River would dry up before the time comes, showing a pile of gold. Along with the tweet was a picture with the words, "Golden mountains appeared after the Euphrates River eventually dried up," which made it look like the picture had something to do with the predicted event. So, was this true or false? It turned out that the story that a mountain of gold was found under the Euphrates River is not true. After searching for the picture on Google, I found that it had been released as early as June 2022 by trustworthy news outlets like CNN, DW, Al Jazeera, Euronews, and Smithsonian Magazine. The picture is linked to a historical site from 3,400 years ago that is connected to a city in the Mitanni Empire that was on the Tigris River, not the Euphrates. German and Kurdish researchers found this large city in 2018, according to study from the University of Tuban. It has a castle and a number of big buildings that are thought to be from Zakiku, which was an important city in the Mitanni Empire. This historical site has nothing to do with the Euphrates River or the finding of a gold mountain, despite what you may have read on social media. So the idea that this picture proves what the Quran and the Bible say is not true. As an alternative to the faith view of the Euphrates drying up, there is also a science reason for this. The Euphrates River has problems that start more than 1,000 miles upstream in the area where the river starts, which is in eastern Turkey, under the Taurus Mountains. The Turkish government has started a large-scale project to build dams in order to make energy and make land usable for farming. The building of the Kaban Dam in 1974 and the finishing of the Ataturk Dam in 1990 marked the start of more than 2 generations of work. The $32 billion Southeastern Anatolia project is still going on and plans to build 22 dams and 19 hydropower plants along the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. When it's done, this project will likely provide almost a quarter of Turkey's energy needs. By building the Tabqa Dam upstream from Raqqa in the 1970s, Syria helped change the course of the Euphrates. Before the civil war started, More dams were built along the Euphrates and its branches. However, the war stopped further progress. As a result of Turkish and Syrian dam operations since then, the amount of water that gets to Iraq has dropped by almost 2/3. Building dams and irrigation projects along the Euphrates River has had a huge effect on the people who live in the countries that are near it. Because of these buildings, more than 300 towns have been affected, and almost 200,000 people have had to move to other places. Notably, the biggest effect was the building of the Ataturk Dam, which forced 55,000 people to move. In addition, the building of the dam that formed Lake Assad caused about 4,000 people to leave their homes. As part of a plan that was never carried out, these people were moved to other parts of northern Syria in order to make an Arab belt along the borders with Turkey and Iraq. The people who were moved were polled, and most of them said they were unhappy with their new situation. The many dams and irrigation projects have changed the way the river moves and have had other effects on the environment. More water drains from the tops of big ponds that are built in places where the average temperature is high. The general amount of water that people can use for different things goes down because of this higher loss. In addition to changing how the river flows, these projects also have environmental effects that make less water available for people to use. Policies made by both the Syrian and Turkish governments have made it harder to get water. These states use the fact that nearby countries can't get water as a bargaining chip. For example, Turkey controls the dam that is on the line between Syria and Turkey. A deal between Turkey and Syria in 1987 said that Syria would get about 132,000 gallons of water per second. But by 2021, Syria said Turkey wasn't giving them their fair share, even though they were getting about 52 million gallons per second. Because of this difference, the Alak water station in northeast Syria stopped making power. Iraq has also been in fights with its neighbors for a long time, trying to get the water supplies that belong to them. In the early 1970s, tensions rose when Turkey and Syria diverted the Euphrates into several lakes, almost drying up the river downstream in Iraq. As a response, the Iraqi government built waterways that connect the Euphrates to Lake Tharthar, a lake northwest of Baghdad. These fights over water supplies have made things even more difficult and have made it hard for the countries along the Euphrates River to get along with each other. Finally, the Euphrates River is in a very bad situation. It used to be a sign of life, wealth, and plenty. Its decline, which is caused by building dams, water conflicts, and damage to the environment, has had a big effect on the people and countries that depend on its waters. Some religious books see the Euphrates' decreasing flow as a sign of divine vengeance, or end times predictions. However, a scientific view shows that there are many more complex factors at play. As the Euphrates River keeps going down, it's a powerful reminder of how important it is to protect the planet's natural resources while also meeting people's needs. The Euphrates problems show how important it is to work together and handle water in a way that doesn't harm the environment in a world that is always changing. While talks have been stuck, Iraq has counted on deals with its countries to the north. There have been many disagreements about these deals. The problems Iraq is having are also getting worse because of global warming. It has rained less in the Euphrates basin, and the river's usual yearly flow is now only half of what it used to be. Between 2003 and 2013, 34 cubic miles of waters were lost from the Euphrates River basin, as seen on satellite photos. Climate models say that the average temperature in the river basin could rise by 5 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of this century. This trend toward heat is projected to make evaporation stronger and cause an extra 30 to 40% less rain. Agricultural activities are affected by less rain. This can be seen in the towns of Syria, where food production has dropped by a lot. Since 2011, Syria's wheat production has dropped by 75%. This is because it has rained less, and farmers have had problems with polluted water and not enough drainage, which has caused them to lose crops. The Iraqi Ministry of Water Resources thinks that the Euphrates River might not have any water in it by 2040. The reason for this prediction is that climate change is continuing to have an effect on the area, causing water levels to drop and floods to happen. It's already having an effect on villages in Al Noor, Iraq. They are dealing with a big drop in their ability to get fresh water. Habia Lake, which was their main source of water, used to cover 55 square miles and hold 4.2 billion cubic yards of water. Since ancient times, the lake has been used to store stormwater from the Euphrates. However, it has now dried up and disappeared, leaving cracked, dry land in its place. People who live in the Alencour towns now need drinking water to stay alive. Families are getting deeper and deeper into debt because they have to buy water. These people used to make a living by fishing in the lake, but now they have to move to nearby towns to find work doing physical labor, which changes how they normally make a living. The lake's absence has not only affected the water supply, but it has also made it harder for people in Alencour to make a living and run their businesses. The Euphrates River's dropping water levels have caused problems, but they have also opened a door to a lost past, the secret caves of antiquity. The world was shocked by what they found when the Euphrates River dried up. The bare land is revealing the secrets of lost societies and giving us a look into the lives of the people who lived along the riverbanks a very long time ago. Among these finds are old caves that have sparked interest. It is said that these tubes go beneath and lead to a building that has been incredibly well kept and has stairs that are still in good shape after all these years. Who built these caves then? Some people think that these buildings are artifacts from long ago that have been kept safe over time, though tales in the area say a different story. The cave goes to a place where angels of darkness are supposedly locked up. This idea comes from Revelation 9:13-19, which talks about how 4 angels who were chained at the great river Euphrates were set free. The text talks about how these angels will be set free to destroy people. Could these caves be more than just old things from the past? Could they be the key to a secret world where amazing things could be found and terrible things could happen? Time, and maybe a brave explorer, will tell. Byzantine-era burial ground. Picture a river that reveals a long-lost prize from the past. Such was the case when the Euphrates River in Syria revealed an interesting secret. A huge grave ground from the time of the Byzantine Empire. Beginning in the open farmland northwest of Raqqa city and going all the way to the border between Raqqa and Aleppo, this amazing find covers a huge area. It is right on the eastern shore of the huge Euphrates Dam. There are already a lot of old graves in this area, and it is thought that there are also hundreds of Syriac Christian churches hidden inside its borders. Some graveyards have been found on the right side of a lake in western Raqqa. However, it is much harder to dig on the left side because it is rocky. That's not the end of it, though. To make things even more mysterious, some of the graves are still underground, so no one knows what's going on above the water. But when the sun is really bright and the water in the lake is very clear, these underwater sleeping places can be seen for a short time. They give us a look into the lives of people from a long time ago. Just think of the stories that these old tombs could tell. What do they keep hidden? That was a long time ago. Who were the people buried here? What was their life like? We now have a better understanding of the past thanks to the finding of this huge burial ground. It will continue to interest researchers and history buffs for years to come. Unsettling sounds. The Euphrates River has been a source of life and tradition for many hundreds of years. But lately, rumors of a different kind of tale have been going around. People who live near the river are said to have heard strange sounds coming from deep below its surface. Some say they sound like low moans, while others say they sound like whispers that carry things that aren't known. A few people say they can even hear cries of pain and sadness. People say the sounds are different from anything they've ever heard before, giving them chills and making them feel uneasy. With the rise of technology, it's simple to think that these stories are made up by bored people and fed by the internet's echo chamber. It's hard to tell the difference between fact and fiction when anyone with a computer program can make scary sounds. What if the stories are real, though? What if there is really something hiding below the Euphrates? There is still no answer to the question, so people can guess and think. Is it a natural event? A species that hasn't been found yet, or something more sinister? time will tell. What do you think? Are the sounds of the Euphrates real, or are they just another internet scam? Tell us what you think, and let the story develop. The ancient city of Uruk. As the Euphrates River slowly recedes, it uncovers secrets that have been hidden for thousands of years. One such gem is the old city of Uruk, which is in Iraq and sits on the banks of the Euphrates. If you stand in the middle of Uruk, you will see a huge area that's about 20 acres in size, that stands 60 feet above the ground. This is the city heart, a lively spot that was once full of people for hundreds of years. It did well under different masters, from the Assyrians to Zimri-Lim's Mari kingdom to Hammurabi's Babylonians. Bit by bit, archaeologists have been finding out more about how grand Uruk was. They are amazed by the city's 3-layer walls, which are each 20 feet high and 60 feet wide. A 60-foot wide pond adds to the strong walls, showing how important it is to keep the people who live there safe. It wasn't a mistake to build these defenses. Around 2900 BC, the inner wall was built. The middle and outer walls were built over the next 200 years. For hundreds of years, they stayed strong and kept the city safe until at least 2000 BC. But Uruk was more than just a city with walls around it. Inside its walls was a temple to Nana, the moon god from ancient times. This holy place, which dates back to at least 3000 BC, says a lot about the spiritual life of the city. Egyptian scarabs have even been found during excavations, which show interesting links between Egyptian ideas and those of other cultures. The search for Uruk is an exciting trip into the past. We are learning more about this once powerful city and its place in the old world as experts continue to dig deeper into its mysteries. Every time we find something new, it helps us picture the busy streets, colorful markets, and everyday lives of the people who lived in Uruk. The Mbet is an interesting old village mound that you can find if you walk along the west bank of the Euphrates River in northern Syria, close to the province of Raqqa. It has been hidden under layers of earth and time. Even though it has been underwater in the Tabqadam since 1976, its secrets were found during digs that took place between 1964 and 1974. Our trip through time starts around 8000 BC, when Mbet was just a small town full of hunter-gatherers. The first people who lived there got most of their food from hunting and gathering in the area. But there is proof that they also started gathering and then growing wild plants, which were the first steps toward domestication. With the passing of time, Mbet changed in a big way. The hunter-gatherers used to be nomads, but over time they tamed animals, which made their lives more stable. Animal bones found at the site show that this change happened, showing a stronger link with the land and its supplies. In addition to telling an interesting story about how farming developed over time, the digs at Mbet also showed us interesting things about how people lived at the time. Notably, researchers found proof that women were worshipped as gods. This is because of the study of objects and remains, which show that women were valuable in that society. The remains of Mbet are now buried below the surface of the Tabqadam, but his story continues to amaze and intrigue people. Mbet's hidden secrets are still an interesting way to learn about the world and remind us of the deep connection between people, the land, and our amazing past. The unveiling of Imar. As the Euphrates River slowly recedes, another secret gem became visible, the old city of Imar, which is in the regional government of Aleppo in northern Syria. Imar takes a strategic rest in the Great Bend of the Middle Euphrates. Its remains can be found on the shores of Lake Assad, a body of water formed when the Tabqadam was built. Imar's position was very important because it was a key transshipment place where things traveling along the Euphrates were removed and sent on land journey. Archaeologists have worked hard at Imar and found a great trove of cuneiform tablets. This makes it one of the most important archaeological sites in Syria. What makes Imar unique is the way these tablets are made. Other towns are full of royal or government papers, but Imar's tablets give us a rare look into the daily lives of its people. People's business dealings, court cases, real estate deals, weddings, last wills, and even official adoptions are all recorded in these amazing books. Each writing has a story that gives us an interesting look into the worries, relationships, and daily lives of people in Imar in the past. In addition, an amazing library was found when the home of a priest was dug up. This collection had both literary and verbal texts that followed the established Mesopotamian pattern and ritual texts that were specific to cults and religious activities in the area. This library is a great way to learn about the Imar people's religion and cultural life. It gives you a look into their beliefs and practices. When we study these tablets, we learn more about the people who lived in Imar hundreds of years ago, including their social structure, law system, and daily lives. The records give us a unique view because they show not only the big stories of kings and countries, but also the hopes, dreams, and difficulties of regular people. The secrets of Imar are still being solved by the people who are exploring it. With each new find, we learn more about the people who lived there, their culture, and how they fit into the bigger picture of the old world. Thanks for seeing this video. We'll see you next time.